And we'll also record. Or actually, are you able to record on your end, Kit Kat?
I should be, yes.
Okay, awesome. So record. Okay, we are good to go whenever you're ready.
Awesome. Danny, you're good to go?
Good to go.
Okay, just gonna send this to Marley and I'll let everyone in. Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. It's so incredible seeing you all. Good morning, Danny. How are you?
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. How's your Saturday going? I mean, probably early, but anything fun for the weekend?
So far, so good. But yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you on. Let's see, Maya, how are you? Want to meet yourself and say, introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Maya is an incredible member of the Finessed Media community, and you've introduced us to so many cool musicians. So we're happy to have you on.
Happy to be here.
Good, I'm glad. We'll say hi to a couple more folks. We'll continue doing this just until more folks are able to hop on. Valentina Pianis, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. I've never met you. Do you want to introduce yourself if you can unmute yourself? All good, all good. Okay, let's see. Africa Green, good morning. How are you? Cool. Yeah, where's everyone joining from this morning? We're gonna Africa. Good morning. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi. So, hello. I'm in the UK, so it's in the afternoon here, but good morning, everybody.
Well, good afternoon. Is this your first time joining one of our events?
Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, we're happy to have you on. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? What do you do in music, and how do you find the Finessed Media fan?
Okay, well, I've got two things going on. So I'm a session musician. I play drums, and I play drums for a couple of pretty big artists. So I'm normally touring.
Cool.
I'm also studying to become a psychotherapist. So I was very interested to also try and come here today to hear what some of your guest speakers talk about, and maybe that as well, like what I can do to help other musicians and for others is why I'm here. So yeah.
Oh, that's incredible. A studio session musician and that's such a cool duo, and I can't wait to hear any of your experiences during our event as well. I'm gonna say hi to, and please correct me if I mispronounce this, Maija Capipio.
Hello, my name is
Maya. Maya, okay, cool. So
Yeah.
lovely meeting you.
Nice to
You're
meet
tuning
you.
in all the way from Uganda. That's so awesome.
Yes.
What do you do in the music industry?
So I have an artist management and booking agency called Kipepeo Agency. So I work with artists in Uganda and Kenya.
That's incredible. And what time is it at for you?
It is 7 p.m. here.
Well, we're happy to have you spend the evening with us. Anthony says, hey, I just tried to be part of the event I can. Of course, we love having supporters in every sense, and we're happy to have you on, Anthony. Chu Feng, hello, lovely. How are you? Do you want to introduce yourself?
Okay, I don't have my headphones today, but can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, awesome. I'm Chu Feng. I use she, her, and hers pronouns. What I do in the industry, I'm an openly queer and transgender singer-songwriter. And I'm super dolled up today because I'm having a tea party, but I stepped away to join the event because we're binge watching Bridgerton today. So we were like all dressing up. I have on a dress and everything. But I'm calling from Minnesota in the States. So, it's cold. We had like a random ass blizzard yesterday, but we're okay. I'm here. I'm excited to be here. I love being in the spaces. Yeah, and I'm excited because like I struggle with mental health openly, and I talk about it openly. So I'm really excited to be here and like just learn what I can. And always gonna be taking notes. If this is your first event, definitely take notes.
Yes, choosing the plug, and we appreciate you even during your tea party. Also, I will say Bridgerton season 2, so far, chef's kiss. So happy to have you on while you celebrate that. Essence, I see you've got your camera on. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Essence. I'm a DJ, audio engineer, and aspiring A&R. I'm from Orlando, Florida. It's hot out here, and that's about it.
Let's bring some of that heat back to Minnesota for choosing.
Okay.
That would be so nice. Awesome. We'll say hi to a couple more folks. Diane, it's so cool seeing you on here. Are you able to unmute yourself and introduce yourself? Okay, all good. If you want to later, let me know. Let's just say hi to a couple more folks in the room. Let's see, Anthony, we're so happy to have you on. Why don't you introduce yourself to us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Anthony. I'm over by St. Louis in Missouri. I was on one of these events a couple weeks ago and I saw another one pop up and I was just like, the last one was amazing. I had to get in here and I did see it said women's mental health. So I was still kind of like hesitant to want to jump in and take the space up. But I definitely, last couple of days especially, been hitting some, I guess you say, artists' mental health, big issues. So I just thought it'd be awesome if I could jump in.
Of course, we appreciate your allyship and we appreciate you being here because wellness goes for everyone. That is not exclusive to anyone.
Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you. Last but not least, for now, Jackie Post, are you able to hop on and say hello? Okay, well, that is okay because I will introduce myself real quickly in lieu. Hi, everyone. My name is Kit Kat. I am the general manager of Finessed Media, and I am one of your co-hosts for today's event. Danny?
Hey, y'all. My name is Danny. I'm the tech coordinator at Finessed Media. Also, by the way, this is going back to Chufeng talking about the blizzard in Minnesota. I'm from Texas, and there was a blizzard in Texas, which is like, weather is crazy out here. But anyway, like going back to the event, yeah, I'll be one of your hosts today for today's event, which is Women in Music, my bad, Mental Health Edition. And I know a lot of y'all in the audience are balancing day jobs and your music careers, and just the overall pressure in the music industry can feel very overwhelming at times. So today we brought you some experts on mental health in the music industry to discuss mindfulness and also talk a little bit about the struggles women go through in the industry and how we continue to go forward. Looking at our agenda, we're going to start off with the discussion with our panelists, which will last about 40 minutes. And then we'll go into a live Q&A with the audience. That will be about, I would say, 20 minutes there. And then we'll end off our event with a guided meditation led by one of our panelists. Speaking of panelists, I'd love to introduce them to you. First, we have Emily Kessler. She's not only is Emily a certified meditation teacher, but she's also an artist manager and live events producer. Next up, we have Rosana Corbacho. She is a clinical and humanistic psychologist specialized in the music industry. Right now, she's working with therapy treatment for music creatives and professionals while also raising awareness of mental health in the music industry, like she is now here. And last but not least, we have Alexi Rabadam, Madam CEO and founder of Finessed Media. And some of you may not know this, but Alexi was also a former yoga instructor for 5 years. And I'm going to just jump into my first question to let them further explain their journey. My question is to tell me about your journey and what led you to pursuing a career in mental health and within the music industry. Emily, can you start us off?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to see you all. This is such a great group of people, especially on a Saturday. It's awesome to see. So yes, my journey. Actually, the music industry is what led me to pursue mental health, working in the industry, which many of us can understand. I got my start in Boulder, Colorado. I used to be, I interned at a couple of venues right out of college, the Fox Theater and the Boulder Theater, two kind of historically famous venues in Colorado. And so I was an unpaid intern for a couple years, and I kind of worked my way up in the venue. I did marketing direction, I did assistant talent buying, and did that for many years. And then I was on the founding team for Okeechobee Music Festival. I was the marketing director for 3 years. I worked for 3 Points Music Festival, and for the last almost 11 years since they've been a band, I've been on the artist management team for a live electronic band called Big Gigantic. And so all of that has been really, really fun and really rewarding and really fulfilling. But about 4.5 years ago, I was going through a really rough patch. I was succeeding a lot in my career, and I was experiencing a lot of sort of external and outward success. And on the inside, I was a total freaking mess. I was experiencing a lot of anxiety. I was not sleeping at night. I was feeling a lot of worry and fear about the future. And my skin was breaking out. My stomach was awful. You know, I just was feeling pretty bad across the board. And so I figured that this is not really a way that I wanted to live. And through that, I kind of started to find different practices that started to help alleviate some of the symptoms that I was feeling. And the biggest one, the one that I found to be the most impactful for me, was meditation. And so that sort of led me in my own practice to start just practicing myself. And once I saw the shift that it had in my life, I was just like, whoa, more people need to do this. And so now I'm really focused on teaching and offering meditation, especially to people in creative industries who I feel really need it, because we give so much of ourselves to the world that I really think we need ways to fill our own cup, but really to people in general. And I'm really focused on teaching it in a way that feels relevant and accessible and not so esoteric, that can really be digestible and easy to understand, and just offer simple tools for people to start to manage their stress better, because that really was the thing that helped me. So now I'm sort of in this cross between working in the music industry still, but also offering these meditation and mental health and well-being services and tools. And it's awesome when those two worlds collide right now, and in moments like this. So yeah, really happy to be here. Thanks, you guys.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing your journey, and thank you for being so open about like your mental health and your journey. Rosana, can you also tell me about your journey and what led you to pursuing a career in mental health and within the music industry?
Hi everyone from South Spain. Here is hot as well today, but we have had, because we were talking about the weather before, like kind of a stormy sun from the Sahara. So it's been really crazy. It looked like Mars. So how did I start my journey? When I moved to London, I was 21. I couldn't speak any English, and I started working in a music store. I learned English there, and everything that I had to kind of know from zero in the music industry. So then all my friends there were kind of musicians and promoters. And then, well, I started working there, and I started working in PR agencies, booking agencies, promoting events and festivals and all that. And once I could speak a little bit of English, then I was like, okay, I want to carry on learning something. And around me, I was just seeing how all my friends were so passionate about their works. It was amazing how much energy I could see in this industry. I couldn't imagine anything like that in any other industry that, I have had some experiences on. So at some point, I was seeing how some of them were suffering from either stage fright or tinnitus that led to anxiety. So it was kind of physical symptoms, but at the same time, mental health issues that were were kind of stopping them from fully enjoying and fully giving what they had to share with the world. So at some point I was like, I every time I was just asking them, go to someone that knows about this kind of thing, a specialist. And they were like, but there is none. I go to a normal one and they don't get it, they don't understand, or they don't understand the environment, they will say. So at some point I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have to study psychology. So yeah, I started studying at the same time while I was working. So I have been waking up at 5 in the morning for 10 years with the degree, master's degrees, and working full time in booking agencies, then moving a lot as well, moving back to Spain, working in a big techno booking agency with 60 DJs and finishing my degrees. So it's been hectic, but at the same time, really fulfilling, because once I finished, of course, every time I was kind of tour managing or in the backstage on a festival, working with logistics or anything, because I was doing kind of everything. I will be telling everyone what I was studying and how cool it was. You have to know this, or you have this technique. So when I finished my degree, I didn't even send a proposal to anyone. And the festivals started calling me for just like talking and giving talks and master classes. And at the same time, I was kind of doing an internship on an addiction recovery center, like 12-step program, because I couldn't learn anything so specific from anyone, like on my studies. But then I thought addiction training is going to be very useful as well. So I was combining the two. And then once I had to prioritize, and now I'm not taking on any clients that are not from the music industry because I need the space, of course. So basically, yeah, when I started in doing this, it was out of passion, and I just wanted to help people that I was seeing. They had so much to give, and they were struggling, and they had no one specialist that could help them with science. So I was like, okay, let's learn about this and let's see how far I can, or how many people I can help. So it's been a journey, but I'm so glad that I made that decision, because I really can see how just helping one person, it helps many people around. So it's just like the whole teams that change. And now more organizations are kind of reaching out to ask me to do some kind of, well, workshops or group therapy sessions. I have been doing group therapy sessions for creatives in the Nordic countries, kind of Norwegian, and for Spotify, for example. And then, I don't know, it's like mental health awareness now is broadly spoken about, but I'm very excited now, because it's not just about mental health is important. It's about what do we do actually to improve. So what are the tools? And yeah, I'm very happy to be in this moment in time. It's very exciting. And I feel we can all help. And I'm doing my little bit as well on my side. Yeah, happy to be here.
That's so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Rosana. I really like that you are focused specifically within the music industry, like those within this industry. So Alexi.
Hi, everyone. Emily and Rosana, it's so great to finally meet you. I've been hearing such great things about the both of you. So we're really grateful to have you. So hi to the audience as well. I know I see you all on a week-to-week basis, but I haven't really shared my story with majority of you. So I'll try to keep it concise, but my background is kind of varied. The reason I am really passionate about music or mental health in the music industry is because mental health as a whole has always been really important to me. I started my journey as a yoga instructor when my sister passed away at a really young age, and I had experienced depression, trauma. I was running an internship program a long time ago, and one of my previous interns had said to me, hey, I know you're going through a lot. Why don't you come to a yoga class with me? And that yoga class, I ended up being super late to. I was not on time at all. I was probably, 45 minutes late, and I was still trying to get in, but I'd never been to yoga class. I didn't know what to expect. But essentially what happened is she ended up finishing up with the yoga class, and I was like, I'm here already. I don't want to drive back home, so I'm going to stick around and continue taking the next yoga class. I ended up loving it so much that I signed up for a 6-month membership and went every single day for 6 months, and was such a consistent student that my yoga instructor had asked me to apply for their yoga instructing course. So essentially I became a full-time yoga instructor after that. And it had helped me through a lot of pain and struggle just as a person. So before I had even started Finessed Media, I was doing a lot of different things. While I was teaching yoga, I was also working corporate. I was also bartending to make some extra money. And my life in general has been based around just continuing to make an impact on tens and tens of people. And I've been able to do that through various industries. And that's one of the reasons why I've brought mental health into the Finessed Media space, because I know how hard it can be to just be alive. So that's one of the reasons why we have our quarterly events on a monthly basis. I've been through domestic violence training. I've been through holistic healing training and yoga instructing, as well as meditation training, because I've been through so many different experiences, such as losing my sister, such as going through a domestic violent relationship with someone who was addicted to many different drugs and lying and cheating and things like that. So I know how hard it can be to just be alive. And one of the reasons why we've brought mental health into the music industry is not only are you an artist, you're an entrepreneur, you're also just trying to live your own lives on a day-to-day basis. So we want to be able to continue providing a space for all of you. So I'm really grateful to be here and to be able to share this space with everybody. And Emily and Rosana, I'm not even kidding you. Our team has been talking about how grateful we are to be able to host this event. So yeah, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Alexi, for speaking with us in this panel. And as you can see, these ladies are well-versed in mental health and in this industry, which kind of leads me to my next question, which is, what have you noticed about the mental health of those working in the music industry? And I'm gonna pass this question on to Rosana first, because during her introduction, she mentioned about stage fright and anxiety. Could you talk a little bit more about those?
Yeah, I think some of the elements, when I do the presentations or workshops, I always start with what are the challenges in the environment and why is it different to some other sectors or works or job roles. So the thing why this is important is not that every time in every person that challenge is going to create stage fright, but we have to take into account that we all have some baggage or triggers, or even on our DNA, we will have some tendency over some kind of activation in our bodies. So when we are put under a lot of pressure, then is when those things that we could have may have more options to just develop. So some of the elements that I am seeing in my practice very often, and also when you do a little bit of research on the papers, is more about, there are kind of the two most common mental health issues are anxiety, everything that has to do with anxiety, which could be stress, burnout, everything on that kind of side. Stage fright will be linked to that, but it's not directly anxiety. It's more linked to when you have to perform something. So that's more common in musicians, of course, but then with other music industry professionals, we have the anxiety and depression in really high levels. Then of course, there is also quite high levels of drug use. Then working with physical pain, some kind of thing that I derive, some of the problems can be linked to those physical issues, like tinnitus, for example, then that can lead into depression, or it's kind of, everything is linked together. When you have an issue, it's not just one, it's just I have depression, but there is a number of things around it. So there is also something, it's not classified as a mental health disorder, But the imposter syndrome, for example, is very common in all areas, not only musicians. So that kind of sensation and feeling that you don't belong there and you are gonna get caught and don't have the skills or the qualifications to be there, that's also very, very common. Isolation is something as well very common in all this, and everything that is derived from competition, difficulty setting up boundaries. And yes, kind of, we can go from the mental health disorders to just difficulties that make your life harder. But in therapy, I treat, depending on the person, we work on their priorities, of course. So let's say it's just like normal population levels plus the stress on working in the music industry. So just a little bit more or harder in the numbers. Yeah.
Right. And Emily, have you noticed those things about the mental health in those in the music industry? Also, have you seen other factors that may happen?
Yeah, I really agree with everything Rosana said. So I'll say something different, which is that one of the things that I see the most, especially in this industry, is that there are so many demands on our time. It's early mornings, it's late nights, it's travel, and there's so many ever shifting scenarios of what kind of food is available, what kind of sleep are we going to get, what are the hours going to be, how early is that flight, how late am I working on this announce, whatever area we work in, it's the type of industry where it moves really, really fast and we don't often get a lot of time for ourselves. It's not like we go to a cubicle and work 9 to 5 and clock out and the day's over. There's sort of this ever present possibility to be working or doing. And so I think that there's something about sort of these long and always changing hours and demands of working in music that really causes, more burnout, more anxiety, more interrupted sleep. And when we just have less time for ourselves and are able to do less of the things that really fortify us and make us feel full, that can really sort of compound and lead to us feeling really poorly. So I think that's sort of something that is unique to the industry, that sort of sets us up with some challenges when it comes to mental health.
Yeah, I totally get that. I'm still working on my work-life balance also. Alexi, what are something you've noticed about mental health in the industry?
Yeah, I think a lot of what I notice is that majority of folks just don't know how to deal with their mental health at all. And I mean, I'm sure it happens in a lot of other industries, but in the music industry, like Rosana and Emily were both saying, it's very hard to find that boundary of like, where does work start and end? Where does life start and end? Because music is one of those things where it's like, we all love music and that's why we've decided to go into it, but it makes it very hard for us to distinguish, like, when are we just focused on music for work and when are we just focused on music for the love of it? So one thing that I noticed as a whole when I started working with a lot of artists is a lot of artists are like, I have to work and work and work and create and create, create and create and create. But then they start not enjoying the creation of the music because they're so focused on the business side of everything. And just like as an entrepreneur, it's already hard to find work-life balance. So as an artist and an entrepreneur, it's even harder because you're making what you love into something that you're making money off of. And it's hard to find the reward, or, then we're like, okay, now it's like a reward-based mentality. Like, I'm making music to make money as opposed to I'm making music because I love what I do. So I find that majority of folks in the music industry just struggle to find that balance. And that's why it is important to continue having conversations about mental health just in general, because most people don't know how to deal with mental health. A lot of people don't know how to communicate their feelings to other people, to other folks. They don't understand how to even communicate their feelings to themselves. A lot of people don't know how to write out what they're feeling, or if they they do write out what they're feeling, they don't understand what those feelings are. They don't even understand how to communicate what that feeling is. So it's really important to continue learning about ourselves in the music industry in order to understand how to better express ourselves, in order to continue making art that is able to impact people without you losing a certain side of yourself, which is, you always have to take care of yourself, and that's really important.
Yes, and also continuing to love your craft. Now that we've talked about the general mental health of the industry, I want to ask, are there any adversities you've noticed within women specifically in the music industry, or have you experienced any yourself? And if so, how did you overcome those? I'm going to bounce back right to Alexi.
Yeah, I think as a woman in the music industry, I mean, we're always going to face adversities just in general. We're women. Everybody expects women to be strong. But I think one thing I notice a lot is when I get into the studio, it's typically very male-based. And just in general, I've noticed in most industries, the people that are at the top are usually old white men, unfortunately. And we are trying to shift that paradigm. So I do try to surround myself amongst a lot of women in the music industry, because I find that one, it's a really great community to be in. Women are amazing. But two, it's important to have differences in viewpoints. So one struggle that I've faced as a woman in the music industry is like I'll be in a studio and I might be managing the studio, and then all of these people are around. I'm introducing myself just to be friendly, to say hi, and some random male who's never been in the studio before will say, "Who are you?" But it's not a "who are you" as in, "Oh, who are you? It's nice to meet you." It's more of, "Who are you?" And that happens very frequently in the music industry, whether you're in the studio or whether you're at a live event or wherever. And it's a power dynamic. We are shifting, like I said, I think women are shifting the paradigm in the music industry, but there is still that sense of power and patriarchy in the music industry that we continuously have to combat. But there's definitely a huge power dynamic of that in the music industry. So there's that. And then on top of it, a lot of times you are just as a woman going to experience being the only woman in the room. And one way that I've overcome that is I don't care what the hell I say in rooms anymore. I am going to speak my piece. I'm going to say what I have to say, because no matter what, your voice deserves to be heard, whether you're a man or a woman, or whether you're non-binary, whatever you want to say. It's important that people listen. And one way that I am also trying to change that within the music industry is by making sure that everyone that I work with always feels heard and welcome. But I would say that's one of the biggest challenges that we face as women, is not always being heard.
I get that. Yes, we got to be loud. We got to be proud, because we deserve to be in the space that we are in. Rosana, well, what about you? What have you noticed about like any adversities that women face in the industry?
Thinking to what Alexi was sharing, I have worked with patients who from different backgrounds and roles. Being a woman, usually it's like you have to prove or own your space, kind of showing your LinkedIn. Hey, I am here, I work with this, I know what I'm doing, that kind of thing. So because the kind of first label is always, who are you with? Are you and it's never like a leading role. This is something that is kind of empowering when you can go there and just say, okay, no, I am the one who can cancel the whole thing. So, or I'm the one who is paying for this studio. I'm the one, but it shouldn't be that way. But at the same time, I feel, yes, it's when you manage to just be grounded in your own power and just saying, oh, poor thing. It's not perceiving me as who I am, but it's okay because he doesn't know me. He's a victim of the patriarchy like I am, and that kind of thing of the understanding, but standing strong. And then, of course, I have worked a lot with sexual harassment, and I have to say, not only in female, but also in male, and with all these kind of power dynamics. Being a woman in the industry as well, I feel there is this kind of expectation and comments on the looks and the age, things that I have never experienced with male patients, clients, or colleagues when I was working on the other side. And yeah, there are some kind of these expectations of being a good girl or being perfect and just taking on everything, personal life, professional life, not setting up boundaries. That's kind of what you are expected to do. So as I heard someone, a CEO in an amazing talk she did, and she was like, I just want women to be able to be to not be perfect, to just be normal in order to be in the positions and just be average. We don't have that right yet. It's like you have to be superwoman in order to be in that kind of position. So, but again, I feel in my personal experience, the most I have learned, it has come from women bosses who were there, understanding, teaching, sharing knowledge. So every time I have had a difficulty, my tendency has been to just get together with women, work with women, provide jobs. If I am in a festival and I can hire people, I hire women I know, and they are good and they are amazing. So it's that kind of thing. And also I am the oldest of 4 sisters, all women. So I'm used to that, to just work with women, and the sisterhood for me is something that makes us stronger. And that kind of collaboration is definitely a protection that we have, a good one. Yeah.
Yes, women support women. We love to hear it. Emily, what are some adversities you've noticed with women in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll just echo what you both said, because I really agree with that a lot. You know, I have often found myself to be one of the only, if not the only woman in the room. And I think for me, the thing that's helped the most is something that Rosana just touched on, which is just that I feel like in this industry, especially, and for me, I've really only known it as someone working behind the scenes. I'm not an artist myself, but I really have felt very little sort of cattiness or women trying to block other women or push them down. I really feel like this industry, because women are still the minority in the music industry, I really have always felt such support from other women. And I've been just really lucky to have so many great female mentors in my life. And throughout the different jobs that I've worked in, I've had the opportunity, like Rosana was saying, to help kind of pave the way for other women, for younger women, to help people get their first internships, you know, females get their first internship in the music industry, just a foot in the door somewhere, or, you know, connect them to the first job. And so I think that sort of network of women supporting other women has just been really, really valuable for me. And I think that when I've seen other women that I respect and admire in this industry kind of rise up within it, it's also given me a lot of confidence that, you know, we're seeing other women do it. And so these things are possible. And each woman that sort of rises to a new position of power within this industry is just sort of paving the way for all the women that are coming, you know, after her. So I just find that really inspiring. And I think that the music industry in particular is just really unique in this way, because I think in a lot of industries, there's a lot of competition and a lot of cattiness. And I think that that's something that I haven't often found in this industry. And so I really respect that sort of about us all, that we continue to just lift each other up in that way.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. All right.
Obviously, we talked a lot about the struggles and, you know, the things that we have had to really address and face on a day-to-day basis. And so now I want to shift the conversation a little bit to some, like, what are some elements that artists and music industry professionals should stay mindful of when working? Any habits, exercises, maybe even organizations or spaces that really assist in mental health within this space? Emily, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. So a couple spaces that I find really helpful. There's an organization I do a lot of work with called Backline, and they provide mental health services to people in the music industry. So counseling, therapy, different workshops and resources, always free. They're a nonprofit. They're really incredible. I've done a lot of work with them. I have newly been introduced to a group, two women who run something called Equilibrium, which also does a lot of work within the mental health and music sort of crossover space. They, again, offer workshops, trainings, resources, panels. So they offer great stuff as well. And as far as sort of tools and practices, for me, the most beneficial thing that I've implemented in my own life, and something that I have every single one of my meditation clients implement, is carving out time for ourselves in the morning. They say that how your morning goes and how your day starts is how your day is going to be. And so if we wake up, the alarm goes off, we reach for the phone, and then we just immediately get lost in emails and social media and news, this is how our brain's going to feel. But if we're able to turn the alarm off and take 20 or 30 minutes for ourselves to meditate, to listen to a podcast, to play with a dog, to be with our children, to take a walk, to just make a nice breakfast that doesn't involve our phone or a screen, I have found that sort of sacred morning time to be one of the most important things. And we always say, you know, oh, I'll get to it later. I'll have time for myself later. But sometimes later doesn't come. And so if we do it first thing, we're just the most likely to do it. And I think that, you know, making sure for me that my day is not just swamped the entire thing with work, but that I'm taking little pockets of time for myself to just stand up or stretch or go for a walk, or take a little break. You know, no project or job is going to fall apart because we took a 5-minute break. You know, the world's not going to end because we took a 15-minute walk. So I think we're so conditioned in this society to just be constantly doing. And if we don't take time, I feel, to just be, that we're not able to do in the way that we want to do, because we're just going to get burnt out. So I think that that's actually like a really feminine energy that we can start to bring to how we work and how our day goes. You know, when we're in our masculine energy, we're doing, we're creating, we're moving the ball forward, but we also, you know, can be in the feminine and can be, you know, a little bit slower, a little bit gentler, taking time to rest, taking time to replenish ourselves. And so, you know, finding that delicate balance, I think, is one of the hardest things, but I also feel it's one of the most rewarding, and it actually only enhances everything that we do. So that time we take for ourselves is really never a waste. It's just sort of an investment so that we can, you know, enhance everything else that we're doing.
Yeah, and I know earlier you had all discussed setting boundaries. That's a huge boundary to set for yourself when you're balancing everything. I also want to quickly say Abby put Backline's website link in the chat. So if you want to check out that resource, please click on that. Alexi, any habits or any orgs that you can add on to what Emily had expressed?
Yeah, Emily covered the orgs, both of the orgs that I was going to mention.
Nice.
They're both amazing. But in terms of some habits, definitely taking time in the morning and not checking my phone has been a huge one. I am the kind of person where as soon as I start working, I will just go, and I won't stop. And there have been days where if I do wake up in the morning and the first thing is go to my phone, then I will be standing. I put my phone in the kitchen. I don't keep my phone in the bedroom before bed, but I will go into the kitchen, I'll grab my phone, and I will stand in the same spot for an entire hour, just responding to messages and emails because I'm so in the zone. And so what I've had to do is just remind myself, you know, I need to eat breakfast first thing in the morning. I need to drink my tea or coffee or whatever it is, to take care of me, because I come first. And if I want to be there for my community, because I mean, Finessed Media, for those of you who have been with us for the longest amount of time, we have thousands and thousands of people that we're supporting, which can be a lot. And it's a huge burden. So if I'm constantly taking on that burden myself and not taking care of myself, then I'm not going to be as equipped to be able to take care of my community the same way that I would if I were to take care of myself. So That's one thing. Another habit that I have been adopting is definitely going on walks in the middle of the day. As Emily was saying, like it is important to slow down. And my partner and I were both entrepreneurs. He also works a corporate job and runs his own business. So the both of us are like, we have so much to do. We have so much to do. And we're being pulled in different directions all day, every day. So in the middle of the day, we do our best to just, especially if it's sunny, we will go on a 30 to 40-minute walk and just clear our heads. We try not to bring our phones with us, and we'll just breathe, because we need that time to ourselves. And it's so hard with social media, with the pressures of the music industry. Like there are so many events to go to on a day-to-day basis in the music industry, and it feels like we have to be there, otherwise we're going to miss an opportunity. But I've had to get into this mindset of, you know what, I will have another opportunity to go to another event. Like I'm more important than meeting 500 people at an event who I probably won't even remember everybody's name, and I'm just going to have their Instagram, and then a few weeks later I'm going to be like, who is this on my Instagram? And so just remembering that I don't need to be at everything, remembering that I do need to slow down and take time for me, first of all, has been so helpful in my journey. I haven't been teaching or practicing yoga as much as I used to. I used to practice for 8 to 12 hours per day. And now it's like maybe 15 minutes here, maybe 15 minutes there. Sometimes I forget, and I try not to put the pressure on myself to be like, I have to do this. If I don't practice my yoga today, if I don't do whatever 5 million things are on my to-do list, then it's okay. Because if I continue to take on that burden, it's going to show up in my body. It's going to show up in my mind as anxiety, and I'm not going to be in the best health. I got COVID for 2 weeks, and that was partially because I wasn't taking care of myself, and I was going out, and I was just like, I'm going to go to every event, every single one. And then I got sick, and then I was dead in my bed for an entire 2 weeks. So I've had to slow down, and taking those 2 weeks off has just made me remember, like, it's okay to take a break and take a breather. Like Emily said, the world is not going to end if you don't respond to that email. I mean, it didn't end not responding to emails for 2 weeks. So if I can do it as the CEO of the company, you all can do it in your own lives and in your own businesses. I guarantee you'll be okay.
And you actually addressed social media, which was leading into my next question. The nature of the past couple of years has been virtual, and it's allowed us to be able to connect to the community. I mean, to be able to see all of you in the audience and to see Emily and Rosana, we're all around the world. So it's been able to give us the opportunity to connect in such beautiful ways. Simultaneously, that also creates a feeling of isolation, of FOMO, of I'm still in my house alone. And so how do you combat that feeling, and how do you continue addressing that duality? Rosana, can you set us off?
Yes, I'm going to subscribe to what Emily was saying as well. And I think it can apply here. It's more about that kind of setting up the boundaries. And when I start with a patient working, usually the first question I ask is, do you take a day off a week? Sorry. And mostly, if you ask in a room full of people in a university, people working for the music industry or being musicians, almost it will be just like 15% of people that will take a full day off. And if you ask them, on that day off, do you go to shows to meet promoter or artists or whatever? Oh yeah, I go to shows. Okay, so then that's not a day off. The same thing with social media. I will say something that is very useful in all areas, and especially in social media, is just to first stop and check, how are you feeling, and identify your emotions. So first of all, even if you have to work, even if you have to prepare all your social media, I will say just try to schedule during the week try to just plan what you are going to be sharing. And you, of course, you can kind of be creative. And if you are at that dinner, you want to share something, okay, but just think twice. Are you present? Is this work? Is this life? Just separate it. And be especially careful if you are feeling vulnerable or some emotions that you feel you are not quite solid to go on the net, because you don't have any protection there. So you can just get fixed into looking for external validation or reassurance when you are feeling insecure, but maybe you are going there. I can hear some patients saying, no, but I'm just checking other artists for inspiration. And I say, okay, on the day when you are full on in your creative block, if you go on Instagram and check other artists that you love, probably you are going to be comparing yourself, and you are going to feel worse, and you're going to start doubting about your self-value, your self-worth, and you are going to procrastinate or have a panic attack or whatever. And so it's especially important to just be aware, what is your baseline? What is your starting point? And once you go online, check again, how am I feeling now? Am I still the same? I am feeling more activated, or I am sleeping worse because I'm checking my phone. So it's all about looking within and being honest about what is being triggering you. And it's okay to feel jealous. It's okay to be vulnerable one day, but it's key that you are the ones that protect yourselves, because no one is going to come, no manager, no booker, no one, no partner is going to come and say, today that you don't look so great, don't go online. You have to take responsibility for that. And that for me is one of the best tools for just self-care online. And yeah, it's about boundaries and self-knowledge and identifying emotions, that I will say. Yeah.
Can I jump in really quick on social media? On social media, if you are comfortable with it, I would highly suggest unfollowing all of those people that you don't know and that you don't even truly care about, and mute the ones who make you anxious. And start noticing those feelings. If you're feeling anxiety around seeing someone's post and you start getting angry or upset, then mute their posts or unfollow them, because that will help your mental health so much. I just went through, while I was sleeping and only eating for the last 2 weeks during COVID, I went through my Instagram followers and unfollowed probably 700 people, because I was seeing so much stuff on my feed. I was like, I don't even know who this person is. I'm getting anxiety about other people's lives and I don't even know who this person is. I'm seeing people going out partying and I'm like, I'm not even able to go out partying. I want to mute it. And that has helped a lot. So if you are starting to notice, and take note of when you are feeling certain things within your body and your mind, like if you are getting anxiety around seeing someone's post, it is 100% okay to unfollow or mute them. And if that's what it's going to take in order to take care of your mental health, and someone gets upset with you for unfollowing them, then that's probably not the best person to follow in the first place. And so just a little side note about social media is it's fleeting, right? It's not something that's the most important thing in the world. Of course, if you're an artist or you're trying to build a brand, it's really, really important to be on social media, but not every single day. If you miss a day of being on social media, if you don't post for 5 days, it's okay. Just wanted to add that in there.
Yeah, thank you for adding that. That's something I'm definitely going to going to do. Honestly, like out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. And so
sorry, I just wanted to add one really quick thing on the social media front, because I use social media a lot for my business. It's pretty much the main way that I've grown my meditation teaching business. It's the way that a lot of corporations find me, my corporate clients. It's the way students find me, brands. And so it's really important for me. And I think for artists and musicians, it's really important too, to have a presence. And so the thing that's helped me the most is I constantly assess, how much am I creating and how much am I consuming? And I always, for me, want the balance to be higher in the creating zone, because that's why I'm on there, right? I'm creating content to help my community and to connect with my community. So I think that if we can just think to ourselves, oh, wow, I had kind of a down week. Social media made me feel icky. Okay, well, was I consuming 80% and creating 20%? Potentially that's why. And, like Alexi and Rosana said, unfollow, spring cleaning, baby, like clean out that account, unfollow all the people, and then really keep an eye on yourself. Why am I on here? Am I just mindlessly scrolling? Am I learning? Am I connecting? Am I creating? Just teasing out in your own mind, what are the main words that come up when I'm on the account? And for me, if I'm staying rooted in creation, connection, and education, I'm happy on there. And for me, this is really the thing that changed it for me, because it was really starting to drain me. And I found that it was because I was consuming too much.
Yeah. Right before jumping into our live Q&A, I want to ask one more question, and it's just, do you have any last words of advice in practicing mindfulness? And
yeah.
You can jump in.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that the number one thing about mindfulness, right? So what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is bringing your attention to something specific, usually in the present moment. And so many of us are very rarely actually in this present moment. We're in the past or we're in the future. And what we find is when we're in the future, we're usually worried about the future. We're feeling anxiety, we're feeling fear. And when we're in the past, we're feeling regret, maybe some sadness, wishing things had gone differently. But when we're in the present, we find that we actually don't have a whole lot of problems. Our problems are really in the future and in the past. And so any practices that we can do that bring our attention to this moment are really valuable. And it helps keep the mind from all the spirals that it does into the future and the past. We start to train the mind to stay here, to stay in the moment. And so practices like taking a walk without your phone and using all of your senses. What do I see? What do I hear? What do I smell? Really being in the moment, not just walking and emailing, but really being in the moment. Doing breathwork practices where you're paying attention to the breath. This crazy thing that we do, we just breathe in and out, and it's involuntary and it's wild and it keeps us alive. How often do we actually think about it? Exercise, yoga, movement, where we're really feeling our body, our heart's pumping, we're in the present moment. Reading, playing an instrument, cooking, just bringing your attention to the things that are actually happening right now versus the things that we're worried about or regret or anything like that. Just paying attention, being aware of when the mind goes somewhere else and just gently inviting it back into what you're actually doing can start to train the mind to be less distractible and to just have an easier time staying in this moment, which is where a lot of our happiness lies.
Thank you. Rosana, do you have any last advice?
Yes, I subscribe to everything that Emily said. I think she covered like almost the whole thing. And I will just add, when I have to resume everything in just one kind of guideline, but I'm gonna give two today. So on one hand, everything that gets you closer to your human animal part is gonna be healthier. Everything that gets you far away from that and closer to I am a product and I have to be productive only, or make money or have fun or whatever, then that be careful. I'm not saying don't do it, but just find the right balance. Okay, did I call my friends today? Did I take care of my food, what I was going to cook? Did I do anything outside the screen today? Did I go for a walk or look at a tree? I don't know, whatever. So just like try to find that balance, especially if you are touring or if you have a hectic deadlines ahead. It's especially important, but it's kind of a building practice. You cannot do it when you are already super burnt out because it's not going to work as well. So that would be on one hand. And then another thing for me, amazing that happens in the music industry is that usually the identity is kind of really close together, almost fusion with who you are, the job role with who you are, with your identity. So that gives us a lot of energy to put into the job role. It's like, this is my life, this is who I am. I play piano, I am a singer, or I am a promoter, I am a booker. That's what I do. So it gives us a lot of energy, and like they were saying, it's just gonna prioritize that in my time over everything else. But when something is kind of putting in danger my job role, it's like everything in me shakes. So it's when I am in danger to have a breakdown, to have like, even if I had some tension, I'm gonna feel it even stronger. So it's very important to think, who am I apart from what I do for a living? Yeah. If I couldn't do this job role, what are my core values? Because when you stand there, you are gonna actually have more energy and more freedom to give to what you are doing, but keeping your core grounded. And I have seen that helps a lot in therapy and in just every day. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, what I'm hearing right now is just, it always starts with you and your thoughts. Alexi, any last advices?
Yeah, a really great, I don't know if I would call it a phrase, but just something that I remember from one of my meditation instructors a long time ago was that we are time travelers. And Emily said and explained mindfulness very well. And what my meditation instructor meant by saying that we were time travelers is that, yes, we're constantly thinking about either the past or the future. And it's so important to just, when you have those moments, to take a step back and breathe. And literally just feel it in your body and take a breath. I'm sure when Emily goes through our guided meditation towards the end of this, we'll probably be doing some breath work with all of you, because one way, I mean, a lot of folks, I know it's really hard to meditate. A lot of folks have a really tough time with understanding what it even means to meditate, how, and most people think it's about like letting go of emotions, but a lot of it is actually just observing and learning how to accept it. So as you're trying to understand more about yourself and mental health and mindfulness, find ways to do it simply as looking at your fingernails and just massaging them with lotion. Little things like that will bring you into the present moment, because how often are you actually looking at your cuticles and massaging lotion into your cuticles? Or how often are you massaging your feet? Or even, like feeling parts of your body and checking in with yourself to be like, wow, I had chest pain. Maybe I should massage different parts of my body to loosen up some of that stress and that burden that I have on me. I had a chiropractor once I had a hip problem when I was younger, and he didn't know that I had a hip problem. I had hurt my back while I was teaching yoga, and he's massaging my neck, and he goes, Alexi, did you have any hip issues when you were younger? And I was like, yeah, I did. He was like, was it in your left hip? I said, yeah, I fell off my bed when I was younger and I hurt myself. And he starts moving my neck around and he starts massaging my back, or an acupuncturist, not a chiropractor. And he says to me, do you feel like you carry a lot of burden? And I was like, what do you mean by that? He said, do you feel like you have to be there for everybody all the time and you don't always get to take care of yourself? And I said, yeah, I do. And he said, you're going to carry that in your shoulders. You're going to carry that in your back, your spine, your hips, and all of that is connected. So when you feel that stress on your body, it's important to take a step back and make sure that you're taking care of your body and your mental health and just yourself, because all of that stress is going to resonate within you. So remember to check in with yourself, like massage your temples every once in a while, and, massage your feet, because majority of us aren't going to get massages every single day. So we have to take care of ourselves. We have to make sure that like our hands are being stretched. We have to make sure that we are moving around. We're not sitting all day. We're like stretching our arms out and about to make sure that we're getting motion in these areas. Otherwise, we're going to continue maintaining a lot of stress within our own bodies. So I would just say, if you struggle with meditation, especially, then find little ways to take care of your body, and that will definitely help with mindfulness.
That's a good one. I've been also trying to move around a lot. I'm always like sitting. So next up, we're gonna move on to our live Q&A. Take it away, Kit Kat.
Yes, and so before we begin that, I want to say thank you to everyone in this room, because there's about 30 some of us, and you've chosen to sit here and practice that mindfulness, to sit here and take in new practices. And I saw those comments. Some of us are going through some life things. Some of us are going through some artist things. Some of us are going through business things. And the fact that you've chosen to practice your mindfulness here today is a huge step in you doing that for yourself on a regular basis. So thank you. And so with that, if you have any questions for any of our panelists, all of our panelists, you can use the reactions button and use the raise your hand feature to, and I'll call on you so we can get that going. Does anyone have any questions for our panelists right now? I saw somebody raise their hand earlier, or maybe Sage. Are you clapping? Or okay, got you. Okay, Sage.
Yeah, I meant to put the raise hand button, but I accidentally hit the clap. But first of all, thank you all for all of the words that you shared. Definitely helped, and like this couldn't have come at a better time. I feel like Rosana talked about imposter syndrome a little bit, but I just wanted to ask your opinion on what do you think triggers that in people? Just because I feel like I struggle with that a little bit, and not feeling like I am, or I'm not qualified enough when I am. And I have moments where I feel like I am, and I believe that, but then when I do fall into those moments where I do feel like I'm not qualified enough for what I'm doing, what are the best practices for that? And what do you think triggers that?
That's a very good question. I wanted to be short on the explanation just for the sake of time. Sometimes what can trigger that kind of feeling in the particular moment is when we are very focused doing something and we are really deep into the whatever we are doing, and suddenly there is this kind of a snap and it's like, wait, what am I doing here? I don't have the qualifications for that. And then you start kind of questioning yourself, but it's kind of sometimes can be just a consequence of being like really focused, kind of the prefrontal cortex, acting, living, driving, and suddenly it's like, hey, maybe this is not a place. And then when there is a fear trigger, like you feel it in your body, suddenly the head kind of tries to make sense of it. And it's like, okay, maybe I'm feeling this fear because something bad is going to happen. And then the interpretation. So the communication is kind of connected. So we feel the emotion, then we say some things about what we are feeling. And in a more general perspective, when you wonder or you fear that you don't have enough qualifications or you are going to get called or something like that, sometimes it's when you are comparing yourself to others and you are just seeing the performance from the outside. As well, if you could see yourself from the outside, probably you will be like, oh, she is professional, but you are just feeling it within and you are doing it with fear. Yes. So I got invited to do like a talk on imposter syndrome on this tour managers group peer-to-peer support sessions, and they have it all the time, and they have the biggest tours. They have run the biggest tours with the biggest artists, and they have that. So in that moment, it's just about stopping for a minute, connecting with the body, like Emily was saying, this kind of, okay, breathe out, try to relax your nervous system, and kind of tell yourself, okay, now is not the right time to evaluate. And just remember, Albert Einstein suffered from imposter syndrome. So there is never enough qualifications when you feel that way. Something that helps kind of lowering the effects is sharing it with another person that works near you or someone that you know, because just seeing how other people are suffering from the same symptoms is going to help alleviate it a little bit. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hey. Oh. Mira, I saw you had your hand raised. Do you want to mute yourself? Okay, all good. If she wants to afterwards, we'll get back, but Kalia, go ahead.
So my question was, so like I deal a lot with like anxiety and things like that. So like when you're overwhelmed to the point where you almost feel like an anxiety like attack is coming, like how do you go about like sort of bringing yourself down from that moment?
Emily, maybe?
Yeah, I could start, I guess. So I've dealt a lot with anxiety in my own life too. And for me, and I think for most people, when we realize that we're feeling anxiety, especially heightened anxiety that feels like it's going to turn into an anxiety attack or a panic attack, our first inclination is to try and stop it. Like in our minds, we're just like, no, like, please, please, please don't have this happen. And what I've found in my relation to my own anxiety is that if I'm able to accept it and realize that I am in fact feeling anxious and remind myself that it's okay and that I don't need to shove it down. It's okay that I feel this way. It's normal. It's human. It happens. And the other thing that I remind myself is that it passes, because I have never had an anxiety moment that lasted forever. And so I remind myself, it's okay that I'm feeling this. It's welcome here. I'm not going to try to fight it. I know that this is temporary. And it's almost like as soon as I give the anxiety permission to be there, it almost lessens a little. You know, it wants to be felt. And our feelings, they want to be felt. So they're going to come up. And if we try to shove them down, it's almost like we're shoving down a big beach ball, and eventually it's just going to pop out. So the more that we can just allow them to come up, we find that they start to move out. There are some great breathwork practices specifically for anxiety. There are things that can help, like a cold shower, or, you know, hugging somebody, or getting fresh air, deep breathing. Sometimes I'll just lay down on the ground, just flat on the ground, and I'll say, I'm feeling anxious now. It's okay. I know it's going to pass. And I'll just take lots of deep breaths until I feel like I can sit up. I think that we just have to treat ourselves with gentleness when we feel these things come up, because they're totally human and they're normal. And it's something that so many of us are going through. We don't need to feel shame or embarrassment. It's just part of being human and part of existing in this crazy world. And so the more that we can be gentle with ourselves and also gentle with the anxiety, loving to it, welcoming for it, you know, sitting with it, telling ourselves it's okay that if I have to sit with this for a little while, you know, it'll be okay, are the things I would say that have helped me the most.
Thank you, Emily. Oh, Rosana. Yes.
Yeah. Something that can help as well on what Emily was saying, just along the line, if you're about to have, or you're having a panic attack, sometimes what I tell my patients is just go to the freezer. If you have a freezer, take an ice cube, because that's going to make you connect with the present. And it can also help learning a little bit about what anxiety is. Today we don't have time, but just mainly it's just the fear of something bad is going to happen. So it's your body feels it needs to prepare for something that is dangerous. And you don't see the kind of, the danger yet, but it's gonna come. So it's really, really good for survival in nature and all that. But now we get anxiety because of an inbox. So it's important to just name, okay, what am I feeling is anxiety. What is the emotion below the anxiety? Fear. Okay, I'm scared. And stay with the emotion without adding to it, because all the thoughts are just linked to that anxiety. The head is trying to get you out of the situation. So it's going to think about all the possible scenarios and all the possible solutions, but that's not gonna calm you down, but make your heart go faster. So just try to get deep into I'm feeling scared. Grounding exercises, and then if you have been suffering from that for a long time, just seek for help, because you don't have to be suffering from that, and it's actually very distracting in everyday life. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, we do want to spend some time heading into our guided meditation. If you have any questions, would you mind putting them in the chat? Speakers, would you mind answering them in the chat, or even connecting with folks on your socials? Okay, great. Thank you all so much. And so I'm going to pass the mic back to Danny and Emily for our guided meditation.
Yeah, like Kit said, that we're going into our guided meditation. And this is a practice you can take home with you whenever you're feeling down or just not feeling yourself. Emily, ready?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get comfortable. Make sure that you have some nice back support in a chair, on a couch. There's this misconception that when we meditate, we have to be uncomfortable sitting up straight, and this is not the case. So get comfortable. And one thing I just want to remind people of before we dip into our guided practice is that so much of the time in meditation, we think that in order to be having a good meditation or to be a successful meditator, it means that we're clearing the mind, that the mind is blank, that the thoughts disappear. And this is not the case. The mind thinks. It's what it does. It actually thinks the same way the heart beats, the same way the body breathes. It's involuntary. It does it on its own. And so there's no way that we would just sit down and say, okay, time for a guided meditation, and the mind goes blank. This is just not going to happen. So what we're doing in meditation, instead of trying to clear the mind, what we're actually doing is we're just being aware of what's going on in the mind. And when we notice, especially in a guided meditation, when we notice that we're thinking something other than what's being guided, which is 100% going to happen, we don't have to berate ourselves. We don't have to think to ourselves, oh, you're such a bad meditator. I can't believe you can't even do this one meditation. No, we don't have to think that. All we have to do is just very gently bring ourselves back to the guidance. Anytime we're distracted by a thought, it's just a gentle invitation to return. So we can be distracted by thoughts 1,000 times in a 10-minute meditation. And as long as when we realize we're thinking about our to-do list or a project we're working on or what we're going to eat after this, we realize, oh, I've been distracted. Okay, let me bring myself back. This is a perfect meditation. So with that in mind, we're going to start with a little bit of breath work, and then we're going to do just a simple guided mindfulness body scan. That's something you can do anytime on your own. And we are going to do it with our eyes closed. But if closing your eyes does not feel comfortable or doesn't feel safe, you're welcome to keep them open. But if you're going to keep them open, try to have them sort of softly gazing and not wide open if you can. And if you do feel comfortable closing your eyes, I will invite you to close your eyes now. And we're going to start just by taking 3 really big, deep breaths. So we're going to sync up by all exhaling the air out of our lungs. Shh. And inhale deeply through your nose. Air filling the belly and flowing up into the chest. And release. Another deep breath through the nose. Fresh oxygen filling the belly and flowing up into the chest, holding at the top. And release. One last time, in through the nose. Air filling the belly, swirling up into the chest, holding at the top. And release, letting the shoulders just fall down the back. And you can let your breath return to its natural rhythm. Just in and out, noticing how the body breathes by itself. And we're going to try a bit of breath work that's deeply calming, deeply relaxing, can be used in moments of heightened stress or anxiety. It's called 4-7-8. And in this breath, we're going to inhale through our nose for 4 counts. We're going to hold our breath for 7 counts. And we're going to exhale through the mouth for 8 counts. I'll guide us through it, and we're going to do it 3 times. So again, let's exhale all of the air out of our lungs. And inhale through the nose for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale through the mouth for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again through the nose for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale through the mouth for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last one, in through the nose for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale through the mouth for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Deep inhale through the nose. And exhale through the mouth, letting the shoulders fall away from the ears. And again, just letting your breath return to whatever rhythm feels most natural. I often like to breathe in and out through the nose, but you can do whatever feels best in your body. And we're just going to remind ourselves as we go into our guided practice that there's nothing else we have to be doing right now. There's nowhere we have to go. That we've chosen to carve out this small pocket of time to just be still. So taking some nice breaths in and out at your own pace. I want for you to bring your attention down towards your feet. And just notice whatever the feet are touching, socks or shoes, maybe the ground or a blanket. Whatever the feet are touching, can you allow the feet to become heavier? To sink further down. And moving your awareness up the ankles, to the calves and the lower legs, and the knees. With your next exhale, can you invite the lower legs to completely relax? Our legs do such a good job carrying us around all day. And in this moment, we're just going to give them a break. Moving your attention to the thighs and the seat. Really feeling the weight of gravity pull you down into your seat. Feeling the legs relax and loosen. Gently inviting any tension to release. And if the mind is wandering, just lovingly inviting it back into the body, back into this moment. And bringing the awareness to the lower back, the mid back, and the upper back. each vertebra gently stacked on the one below it, allowing any tension in the back to start to melt down the spine. Each exhale drawing you down further into your seat. Almost as if someone has placed a weighted blanket over your shoulders, gently rocking you down. And feeling the shoulders draw away from the ears, inviting the tension in the neck to loosen. On your next exhale, can you feel the shoulder blades slide down the back? And again, if the mind is wandering, just inviting it back into the body, gently and easily returning to the moment. If the jaw is clenched, can you unclench it? If the tongue is pressing against the roof of the mouth, can you relax it? And if the brow is furrowed, can you let your face go slack? Imagining someone is placing their hands on the top of your head, gently massaging any tension or tightness out of the forehead and the temples, allowing the face to relax and loosen with your next exhale. And then moving the awareness down the face and neck, back over the shoulders and down the arms and hands. Can you release any tension in the arms, any tightness in the hands? With your next exhale, can the hands grow even heavier in the lap? And scanning your body one more time, seeing if there are any places still holding on to tightness, still feeling tense. And we send our awareness to those spots, gently inviting them to relax with the next exhale. Just letting the body be heavy and still. And we'll end with another 3 deep breaths. So let's exhale all of the air out of our lungs. And inhale through the nose, filling the body up with air and feeling the chest expand. And release, letting the shoulders drop. Another deep breath in, filling the belly and then the chest fully up with air. And exhaling out the mouth, letting the shoulders drop. One last time through the nose, inhale to the tippy top of your lung capacity and holding it at the top. And exhaling out the mouth. And again, just allowing the breath to return to its natural rhythm. And we can very slowly, with the eyes remaining closed, start to wiggle the fingers and the toes, the wrists and the ankles. We can stretch the arms out to the side and up overhead if that feels good. Almost like a big morning stretch. Just bringing some blood flow back into the system. Can roll the head around the neck one way and then the other. And we'll take one last deep breath, our deepest breath of the day. Inhale through the nose, feeling all of the cells in our body fill with oxygen and come alive, holding at the top and sipping in one more sip of air. And release, letting the shoulders slide down the back. And if the eyes are closed, as you feel ready, you can begin to open the eyes and come on back to this lovely space that we've created together. Welcome back, everybody. So these two practices that we did, the breathing practice, 4-7-8 breathing, this is so great for heightened stress, heightened anxiety, helping us fall asleep at night. It deeply relaxes the nervous system. This is where we inhale for 4 counts, we hold it for 7 counts, and we exhale for 8 counts. I recommend doing it 3 or 4 times through, especially in the beginning, not doing it more than that. And then the body scan, just relaxing the body, becoming aware of each part of the body and releasing it. This can really help alleviate stress from the system, tension, pent up anxiety, stored trauma. It can be great also for falling asleep at night. So I hope that you enjoyed the practice. Thank you everyone for sitting.
Yeah, thank you so much, Emily, for guiding us through that. And thank you for Rosana, Alexi, Emily, for speaking on mental health in the music industry. And thank you to our audience for listening in and creating such an open space. I'm going to pass it off to Kit Kat to talk about our upcoming events.
Yes, thank you all again for being here. Thank you, Alexi, Rosana, Emily. If you gained something new, can you unmute yourself and just give a light applause? Because I know I needed that. So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to our guest speakers. Now we've got some awesome events coming up. Like Alexi had said earlier, we do this quarterly, but we've also got some other cool events coming. So next weekend, we will actually have our Finessed Career Fair, the 3rd edition of it, where we have about 6-7 folks from all different sectors of the music industry coming in to speak on their roles, how they got here, and to chat with all of you a little bit more individually. That will be hosted by our own Itzel and Alicia. The following week, we will be talking about, actually, we'll have a songwriting workshop. So that's going to be super exciting and interactive. And then we'll have a marketing 101 events on the 16th. And the following week, we'll talk about music supervision, sync, and a little bit more about all of that. So you can make some money as an artist. So thank you all so much for being here to start your Saturdays off, to end your Saturdays for some of you. I know we're all around the world right now. Thank you all. Have a happy rest of your Saturdays, and we will see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. So nice to meet you all.